Richard Burke has seen a lot during his 30 years with Leaderbrand. He started working at the coalface of the horticulture business and ended up as chief executive. After 12 years in the top job, he's now preparing to stand down from the role. Janina Schwaneke caught up with him to find out how it all began.
From starting on the ground in the fields to leading one of the country's largest vegetable growing groups, Richard Burke has seen a lot during his 30 years with Leaderbrand. Based in Gisborne, Richard has been chief executive of the horticulture business since 2012, but is now preparing to stand down from the role. I caught up with Richard to learn more about how it all began.
That's an interesting story. I actually was overseas and my sister was getting married, and I came back to New Zealand for her wedding, and I had a girlfriend at the time, a UK girl, and we didn't have enough money to get back, so I called a friend of mine who was working at Leaderbrand and got a job down here driving a sprayer for the summer so I could get enough money to get back to the UK, and here we are almost 32 years later.
And did you come from a farming or horticulture background yourself? Was that something you grew up around?
My parents were sheep and cattle farmers up in Ormond. They're still there, which is, just out of Gisborne. So probably always had a little bit of that in my background and spent a bit of time overseas when I was there in the farming world. So farming was always kind of my thing, I guess. Being outdoors and doing that sort of thing was always kind of in my blood, I suppose. And I certainly enjoyed it. No question, more than I had a little stint in an accountant's office, and that certainly told me that I wasn't really cut out for an office. But I guess in the end things change a bit when you start to get different roles through a company.
And from those different roles, from starting out as a tractor driver to CE, what were some of the big changes that you saw the company go through?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Look, there was huge change, but I always think the big thing is the changes in yourself. You learn so much about yourself with every change the business makes. And I think the business can only change when people change themselves or evolve, or you bring new people in. And so for me, it's been about that. That's been the growth and the learning path for me has been quite exciting, is seeing people grow and develop around you, forcing yourself to grow and develop, putting yourself in positions where you're rather uncomfortable. I think you always learn more when you're uncomfortable than when you're comfortable. And I think that's resulted in the business, from where I was when we started to where we are now. It's almost not recognisable. So it's been pretty cool to see it change and to be part of that change as well. So not many people get the opportunity to see a business change as much as I have from the inside.
Have you seen many changes across the sector more generally as well, or?
I think there's, you always see there's these little revolutions that come through, whether it's in technology and varieties, or whether it's in, machinery or changes in cropping mix, because, one crop's got an opportunity and the other ones haven't. So I think you see these quite a lot, and I think you see the cycles of these. There's been a few cycles of kiwi fruit and a few cycles of grapes and various other things in my time. So I think that's what makes farming really interesting, is that it's never the same, and you have to be on your toes, and you always have to be looking ahead. So that's probably what keeps people like me in the game.
And you've been with the company a long time. During that time, obviously, you've seen it through some challenges. Most recently, I suppose, Cyclone Gabrielle, and you've been recognised for helping get the company through that. What was that like for you?
Oh, look, I said to the guys the other day, when they asked me what's been the highlights, and I think, I always go to those hard times, because it's when you've got your back against the wall that you learn the most about yourself. That's the times, and I think I was always at ease then, because you look up and down the wall and there's really good people standing beside you. So for me, I think you've got to just do what's right at the time. You got to focus on people, and that's what we did. So look, it is about the people that you have around you to get you through those times, and I think that's where I've been lucky, is that I've been surrounded by some pretty good people for most of my career here.
Any other career highlights for you?
Oh, look, I'm immensely proud of what we've done here, no question. I think that we've always upheld our values. We've always focused on quality. We've always focused on trying to be good citizens, both in the business world but also in the community. And I think that's that's something that I'm really proud of. I think we've pulled our weight in that part of the world. And I think in our industry as well that we're reasonably well respected, and you don't get that by doing things or cutting corners or doing anything like that. So for me, it's a business we've been aligned in that, and so I've been really comfortable to drive that. It doesn't mean that it's not difficult, that you don't have to make hard decisions, and that you make everyone happy all the time. But I think if you can go to bed at night and be proud, then that's a win.
And obviously, with you stepping down, someone else coming in, and it looks like it's going to be a return to the family roots, I suppose, for Leaderbrand.
Yeah, and I guess that was always the plan. The boys have been in the business for a little while, and they're both driven, so they want an opportunity to have a crack at it, and now's their times. And Leaderbrand's heading into 50 years next year, so it's probably quite apt that there's McPhail's at the helm again. So yeah, look, good luck to them. I hope they do really well and continue things on. And
lastly, do you mind if I ask what's next for you?
That's a really good question. Really good question. At this stage, I just want to tidy this up as well as I can. Haven't thought too much about what's next for me. I'm pretty energetic and pretty excited and pretty keen to get into something else, but I don't know what that is yet. So I'm not sure what my next step is, but I'll be starting to work on that over the next month or so.
Richard Burke speaking to Janina Schwaneke. He finishes up as the Chief Executive of Leaderbrand at the end of this year. Richard McPhail, the son of founder Murray McPhail, will become Managing Director of Leaderbrand, supported by Gordon McPhail as Executive Director. The group will celebrate its 50th birthday next year.